Hello. Let's see. Let's see how this does. This was a very impromptu thing that I decided to do. And my kitty's screaming in the corner. I don't know if you can hear that. But what am I doing today? Oh, people are showing up. Thank gosh. Thank gosh. Because you guys are... I need you guys because I got questions for you. I got questions for you guys. What's up, everybody? Morris, the Goji fan. What's up? Jacob, thank you for tuning in. Madzilla, Queen, thank you for tuning in. Landino, what's up? Hello from the Hollow Earth, Landino. Legendary Goji fan. Saturn Desk, here we go again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I wanted to start streaming again more because I miss doing it. I used to stream a decent amount back in the 2018 days. So I wanted to start trying to stream again more. And basically, to be 100% transparent with everybody, I've been really busy today, mostly because my heating has gone out, so it's really cold in here. And I basically spent a lot of my day trying to figure out what was going on with the heating. So I've been cold. I've been a cold boy, and I didn't get to finish my video for the day. And I wanted to make sure I could get something out for you guys today. I'm not trying to post every single day. But I figured this was an easy enough way to continue my streak. I've been on a bit of a streak lately, so I figured I'd hop on and chat with you guys. But also, I wanted to, Monarch is a good reason to stream weekly. I think I'll try and do that, but I'm going to try and stream earlier in the day on Thursdays. Or Fridays, sorry. It seems episodes are going to drop Thursdays. So I think from now on, I'm going to try and get my reviews out on Thursdays, and then I'll try and stream Friday afternoon, Friday night. I'll figure out a way to make that all work. Godzilla X Kong trailer should be dropping anytime now, next week. I think at Comic-Con or CCXP maybe, something like that. I'm excited as well. I think that hopefully it will play before some -1 screenings, which would be cool. And I cannot wait for -1 to come out. I know that this is a MonsterVerse stream. I'm going to try and keep the discussions on the MonsterVerse today. We can talk -1 a different day. But of course I'm going to reference -1 because it's been my favorite Godzilla movie for a while. Monarch panel at CCXP2. Yeah. I hosted some panels with Kaylee Hoddle this summer. I hosted 2 with Kaylee. And it was crazy because I was hosting those panels with Kaylee at Enemy Matsuri and then at Japan World Heroes. But we were not allowed to talk about Godzilla X Kong because she was on strike. She was obviously striking with the rest of the actors. And I'm in full support of the writers and actors strikes. But obviously, as a result of that, we were not allowed to discuss the thing we were there to discuss, which was Godzilla X Kong. So we couldn't even talk about it. That was kind of crazy. Alan, who cares, man? Honestly, straight up, Alan, who gives a shit? I don't understand why people are so worked up over Godzilla screen time, as if it's ever determined the quality of a film. Godzilla 1954 is one of the best Godzilla movies ever made, and Godzilla's not got that much screen time in the movie. Then there's other classics like Invasion of Astro Monster, Destroy All Monsters. Those are 2 of my favorites. Mothra versus Godzilla, where Godzilla is not on screen all the goddamn time. Same with, sorry, Alan, I don't want to, Alan, this is nothing against you. I hope that's clear. I actually, you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. I guess I'm just saying, Godzilla versus Biollante. A lot of the good Godzilla movies, Godzilla's not on screen a ton. So don't worry about how much Godzilla's in -1. Just go into the movie and enjoy it. And if you enjoy the movie, that's good. And if you don't, well, then that's fine. To everybody going on about I guess this was inevitable, huh? I guess this was inevitable because I picked tonight to stream. For everybody going on about the new design, all the drama on Twitter, I've been aware of this for months now. I've been well aware. I know why it happens. I know how it happens. I've seen a bit more of what the real thing looks like that's not a toy. I don't want to talk too much about it, mostly because I'm going to try and reserve judgments for the movie, because I think that's only fair. I'll try to address it now. This is my least favorite design I've ever seen, but I haven't seen the execution yet. It's very possible that things play well on screen that don't work off screen. Does that make sense? I guess let me talk about this without talking about it, because I really don't want to spread negativity about something that we haven't seen the execution of. Godzilla vs. Kong is a movie that conceptually doesn't work for me on any level. I think the Hollow Earth is one of the stupidest ideas as it's presented in Godzilla vs. Kong. I think the Hollow Earth is one of the stupidest ideas ever put to a Godzilla film. I think it's about as ridiculous as having Godzilla fight Ghidorah on Planet X. I think it's ridiculous the way that they've presented it in Godzilla vs. Kong. I think Godzilla on the aircraft carrier is as ridiculous as if Godzilla 2014 got up and walked across the Golden Gate Bridge and went on a little stroll and then cannonballed into the ocean. I think it's stupid. I think Godzilla vs. Kong is a movie that on paper has every single quality of a movie I would hate. Shin Godzilla is another movie that on paper has every single quality of a film I should hate. Shin Godzilla is a movie where Godzilla is a shapeshifter and shoots lasers out of every orifice, and it's ridiculous. And so I just want to say that in execution, things can play different, because I actually really liked Godzilla vs. Kong, despite the fact that I have a ton of problems with the movie. Shin Godzilla is a movie that executed things so well that I don't care. I don't care that he shapeshifts. I don't care that Godzilla shoots lasers out of his butt. I don't care, because the movie executed it really well. So I want to say to all the people who are negative already, give it a minute. Let's see how things go. It's fine if you have judgments. I would hold on to those thoughts until we see a better depiction of what we're talking about here. Most of you guys know what I'm talking about. I see some of you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Most of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys are gonna dislike it when we see it in action anyways, and I'm probably one of you, but I don't want to. There's more to it than just the design, right? And certainly based on what we saw there, which is a shitty children's toy. And I've seen lots of people make the comparison that if you were to judge Space Godzilla based off the Playmates design, you would hate Space Godzilla. Or if you were to judge Shin Godzilla based on that original Playmates release, you would hate Shin Godzilla as well. So give it a minute. I've seen things a bit more clearly. That was not my first look. That's not my first look at what we're talking about here. I've seen other stuff. I've seen quite a bit of out of context stuff from this movie, because I know people who worked on it. And while it's personally none of it, not a single thing I've seen, I've gone, that's for me. That's fine, because it doesn't need to be. Sometimes it's okay to have a movie that comes out and I go, that's not for me. And if this is one of those movies, which it might not be, I might love it. That's fine. It's fine, because I have Minus One and I'm happy with Minus One. This is a really tough discussion to have, because I don't want to say things. I don't want to get too much into things, because not everybody has seen it, and I don't want to spoil stuff, and it's nobody's right to spoil it at all. Nobody's right to spoil that stuff at all. And it really makes me upset that it is spoiled. The reason that it happens in the film isn't going to justify it. It's not. But that's fine. Some people are going to love it. I mean, let's see. I already saw somebody in the comments say that they really liked it. Who said that? Who said that? Jacob. Jacob liked it. Good for you, Jacob. More power to Jacob. And I wish I shared your opinion. We literally was literally going to watch 2014 right now because I'm doing a marathon for Minus One. Oh, you're all the way up to 2014 for Minus One. Good for you, Valerie. Also, thank you for tuning in, Valerie. Nice to see you. Got your Cavity Colors Minus One shirt. I'm waiting on mine. I bought both of the Cavity Colors Minus One shirts and neither of mine showed up. So, damn it. I'm still waiting, but I hope they get here before Minus One comes out. I have those 2 Minus One shirts that I've been wearing over and over and over again, and they're actually getting to the point where the black shirt one, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know what I'm talking about. The black shirt Minus One shirt that I have, the design is already starting to wear off. And like, man, I've had that shirt for only a couple months. I just wear it so freaking much. So I'm really hoping my Cavity Colors get here quick so that I can add some more shirts into the rotation. Who thinks the director Gareth Edwards of Godzilla 2014 should direct the next movie after Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire? That's a very bold question. Personally, I don't think Gareth Edwards would ever return. I don't think that... I just don't think the MonsterVerse became what... I think the MonsterVerse is so unrecognizable to Gareth Edwards' vision at this point that there'd be no point bringing him back. Because you bring him back to do what? He's not going to pick up the pieces where he left off because the pieces that he left on the table have been shattered and obliterated and atomized. So he has nothing to pick up, especially with the way things are headed. Childish, I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of fans are going to freak out about that, but you are right. It's his movie, after all. So is there spoiler drama? Yeah, Marco, I would say that there is spoiler drama. I'd say try and avoid it. It is a big, big spoiler that happens later into the movie. So it's not something that happens in the first 5 minutes. It's not going to happen off screen, and it's going to happen in the movie. There's going to be a reason it happens. And it's already been spoiled, which is a little bumming. And people are now jumping to conclusions, and they're judging it before they've even seen it. Regardless of if I think that it justifies itself, that's not for me to decide. That's for everybody else to decide. So I kind of want to drop that discussion and move on because I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair at all. I think it's really unfair to judge a movie based on a leak of something that's not even in the movie. It's not from the movie. It's not like that. It's not like we got to see like, I don't know. It's not like a clip of the movie was released and everybody watched it and went, that sucks. It's something that's not even a part of the movie. I don't know. I think it's unfair. MGDA 2023, thank you for tuning in. I don't know what you're talking about. So just say, hello, Godzilla. Say, hello, Godzilla Minus One. Everyone watch it. How would I say that in Japanese? Konnichiwa. Godzilla Minus One. Minasan no, go watch it. I don't know. Wasn't Gareth Edwards gonna go late Showa style anyways? There's an interview last I checked. To Paleo, we don't really know much about Edwards' vision. I remember rumors that Edwards wanted to go Monster Island and he wanted to end the MonsterVerse, which wasn't the MonsterVerse back then, with Mechagodzilla. So he was going to build the similar stuff anyways, but it's all about the execution. And there's literally not a single chance in the world that someone that delicate would have handled things as bluntly as they were handled. I'd say the MonsterVerse became a sledgehammer once he left, when originally it was a fine cutting tool. That's kind of how I feel about the MonsterVerse overall, and some people prefer the sledgehammer. I preferred when the sledgehammer still had an edge to it, which I would say is the balance we saw in King of the Monsters. Kong Skull Island, really. Really, I think Kong Skull Island is just the peak of monster movies in the last decade, or decade plus. Honestly, Kong Skull Island is probably my favorite Kaiju movie since at minimum 2005, if not beyond that. Your Japanese was wonderful. Arigatou gozaimasu. I always feel awkward speaking Japanese, but I really like it. It's fun. Arigatou. You know what the number one phrase to learn for anybody who wants to go to Tokyo? The number one phrase to learn is "doko desu ka?" Because you can pretty much get anything you need, anything you're gonna need. You're gonna be able to accomplish with that phrase. You go to Japan and you say, "Bus de wa doko desu ka? Hotel wa doko desu ka? Eki wa doko desu ka? M9 wa doko desu ka? Godzilla hotel wa doko desu ka?" And you get you basically are that's gonna be the 99% of your questions when you're in Japan. And that question will typically yield an easy enough answer for you to understand what you need to do. That's just asking where to go. It's just the direction. Ginza wa doko desu ka? Ginza ueka wa doko desu ka? One thing that they don't tell you is that your maps don't really keep up with you when you're in Japan. Like the maps I was using, Google Maps doesn't keep up with you when you're in Japan. So it was easy to get lost. Which is a good thing. I've seen enough Godzilla movies to where I knew my way through Ginza and Hibiya pretty well. Certainly Ginza, I knew my way through Ginza pretty well. Sorry, I'll get back on topic now. Kong is just the GOAT. I completely agree. I'm loving me a Kong in the MonsterVerse. I think he is S tier. I think he's the best. Spencer. It's real. I've seen more of the real one. It's real. My hot take is that I don't enjoy Kong Skull. Whoa, you don't enjoy Kong Skull? It's a fine movie, but IDK, why it doesn't do it for me. But my favorite of the MonsterVerse is King of the Monsters. Wow, Valerie. I could not feel more fondly for Kong Skull Island. I think that movie is so incredible. Okay, here's the question I wanted to ask you guys. This was honestly the inspiration for the title and the thumbnail, but do you still not like the Haya Godzilla? The Haya Toys Godzilla figures? Orca. When did I say I didn't like it? I just said I wasn't going to buy it because I thought it was pricey. But I don't think I ever said I didn't like it. I don't think I've ever said I didn't like the Haya Toys Godzilla. I think they're very high quality figures. I personally, that's not what I want to be spending my money on right now when my car is not functional. So for me, it's just not worth it. And some people will criticize that occasionally I will buy an SH figure. And by occasionally, I mean, I've bought the Minus One. Minus One was the first SH figure I've bought. And I know the Minus One SH figure has its own issues right now. But Minus One was the first SH figure I've bought since 2019. So, personally, that's not where I want to be placing my money at the moment. Anyway, sorry. The question that I wanted to ask you guys, the thing that inspired the stream, the thing that made me want to have this discussion was because I've seen a lot of negativity towards the MonsterVerse lately, especially on Twitter, which negativity on Twitter that's Twitter. There's a lot of prominent members in the Godzilla Twitter community that I think spread nothing but negativity, but that's the Twitter space. And so I wanted to see if this reflects elsewhere, but I've seen a big sentiment growing within the fan base recently that the MonsterVerse, people are just burnt out on the MonsterVerse. Like, generally speaking, I've seen a lot of fans just kind of had it with the MonsterVerse. People think it's oversaturated. They just feel like there's too much of it. And I don't understand that opinion because the MonsterVerse, we haven't had a proper installment of the MonsterVerse since 2021. That was years ago. And I know the Skull Island anime came out, but that's only hardcore fans watched that. It's not like the show caught on terribly well with the general public. And it's also, the show doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So it's not a proper entry to the MonsterVerse because it's a cartoon that's ultimately not going to be folded into the main thing. So saying that we have like MonsterVerse fatigue and that people are like done with it. I just don't understand it. I don't get where that comes from. We've had 4 movies in 10 years with Godzilla. I don't get where that comes from. So what my purpose of today's stream is, I want to try and deduce what the issue is. I have my theories, and I'll share those in a little bit, but I want to hear what you guys think. How much emotions do you think Kong should show? Do you think he could have tears come down his eyes? Absolutely. Not that apes have that biological feature, as so many people criticize the Planet of the Apes movies for, but he's a giant monster, so sure. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I'm fine with him crying in the movie. I don't have an issue with that. You don't think we have enough MonsterVerse, Batflack? I tend to agree. I feel that there are always negative about the MonsterVerse, especially on Twitter. I completely agree. Twitter is a super negative place, especially for the MonsterVerse, but just in Godzilla fandom overall, and also in just any aspect, Twitter is a negative space. I've seen a lot more positivity for the MonsterVerse outside of Godzilla fans. That is exactly what I have experienced as well. I feel like Monarch Legacy of Monsters is playing 1,000,000 times better for casuals than it is for hardcore fans, which is what I expected when I watched the show. I thought that's where things were headed. Especially after I watched episode 3. I watched episode 3 maybe like I don't know, a month and a half ago, and the minute I finished that episode, I knew for a fact Monarch Legacy of Monsters would play better for generals than it would for hardcores, which is fine because that's obviously who they're appealing to. It just means that people like me who get really overly worked up about continuity are going to get overly worked up about continuity, and that's just going to be what we do. At least I'm self-aware of it, the problem at least. I'm self-aware of my issues. I just still have them. Why are so many people hating on the MonsterVerse recently? It's kind of sad. I'm really enjoying it. I totally agree. I really don't get like where this came from. It feels like it blindsided me personally. I wish it wasn't that way, but that's just how I see it. Yeah. MonsterVerse has only had 4 movies in 10 years so far. Exactly what I was saying. Not sure how that's oversaturated compared to Marvel, DC, or the Conjuring universe number of entries. I know. I don't get it. The MonsterVerse is still a baby, in my opinion. It's still a universe that's blossoming only now. I think there are certainly concerns I have about how long it'll continue, especially where things might head, but at least with entries like Monarch Legacy of Monsters, I do think that there will be a strong fan base created around that show at the very least, and I don't see why the MonsterVerse would end, personally, anytime soon. At least not I think Monarch will keep going for a while. I think Monarch's a big enough hit to keep going. Whether or not we get more movies, I absolutely could not tell you. I really don't know how the next one's going to play at the box office. I'm still here for the MonsterVerse as long as they do less prequels. Fair enough. I completely agree. The MonsterVerse is best when it tells new stories. 4 movies and 2 TV shows, not that much. I agree. People are burnt out on a series that only has 4 main movies. I don't get it. A lot of people outside the fandom don't seem to know that Skull Island show even exists. Completely accurate, because the show was not a hit. Otherwise, you'd hear more about it. I guess people forgot about the slog Toho left with the anime trilogy, unless you're Omniviewer. I don't see your point to Paleo. I liked those movies. I'm still here for the MonsterVerse as long as they do less prequels. People are probably burnt out because the movies themselves aren't very good. Even the people who like the MonsterVerse movies frequently admit they're disappointed in multiple aspects of the movies. And you're talking about me too. That's kind of how I feel. I like the MonsterVerse movies a lot, but I'm disappointed in a lot of aspects of the last entry for sure. The irony of people saying the MCU isn't suffering from fatigue when all the signs point to yes, MonsterVerse should be fine. Saturn Dusk, you're completely right. It's about quality over quantity, and I hope the MonsterVerse delivers quality, but it seems like we're going to be getting a toy commercial. I don't see Godzilla X Kong failing, but anything can happen. I don't know how it's going to go. I have no, oops, sorry. How did that sound for the microphone? My bad. I have absolutely no idea how Godzilla X Kong is going to be received. I think it's stupid enough. I think it has stupid enough ideas in it to where it could theoretically turn people off. But also, Adam Wingard has a tendency, I feel, to pull off things that don't normally work. And I think when this trailer drops, I think that people are going to be hyped. I think people are going to be so into it. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are so freaking hyped, including myself, because Adam Wingard has a way of absolutely blowing at least people like me away with his execution of silly ideas. I think that's his true strength as a filmmaker. Adam Wingard's a guy who can take an idea like Godzilla walking on a boat and make the general masses love it. That is an incredible feat. I want to live in the world. I wouldn't want to live in a world without it. There's definitely flaws with the MonsterVerse. I wouldn't want to live in a world without it. I'm totally on board with what they're doing with the MonsterVerse, but I don't understand why people don't like it. It's all about preference. I guess it's all about what people prefer in a Godzilla movie. I actually think Minus One would in some ways kill the MonsterVerse if it was better advertised, because personally, I think Minus One delivers on what more people are hoping for out of a Godzilla movie. I think the MonsterVerse delivers on the dumb fun entertainment that people expect from a Godzilla movie, but not what they want from it. I think they will take it and be like, that's what Godzilla is. Godzilla is dumb fun. And I think Godzilla X Kong is going to deliver a lot of dumb fun and make a lot of people really happy. But I think what people hope for out of a Godzilla movie is something a little more serious and deeper and destructive. And I think Minus One, if it was better advertised, could very well do so well in the United States that people don't want to go back. But luckily, and unfortunately, Toho did not advertise that movie very well in America. So I don't think that Minus One's going to do terribly well in America. I think it'll do about what Shin Godzilla did, which is play really well for hardcore fans and then not get much mainstream attention outside of a couple reviews. I'm glad you like the Hollow Earth. Personally, I would have preferred to see it be like really spooky. I really liked the Hollow Earth as it was presented in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and if we saw lots of caverns like the lava cave we saw in King of the Monsters that was still well lit, that would have been my jam. I would have loved to see Hell Under Earth, a world of monsters so dangerous, horrifying, and disgusting that humans cannot go down there. And when we have to venture down there for the new movie, it truly feels like an event and a threat, rather than we're going to just Earth Under Earth but this time bigger animals. Boring to me. That bows me. But I guess I'll see, because it could be interesting. It's again, Wingard can pull off things that don't typically work, and I think he's going to utilize that anti-gravity field in the middle of the Hollow Earth very well in the next movie. At least I'm hoping. Especially if you've seen the storyboards for Godzilla vs. Kong. They had some crazy storyboards where Kong was flinging around, flying through that anti-gravity field. And I think if Wingard does stuff like that in the new movie, it's going to win over a lot of audiences with the creativity, and especially with his cinematographer, whose name I forget. The two of them have a way of delivering some of the best visuals we have ever seen in modern blockbusters. And so I think it's going to go crazy. That fucking aircraft carrier will never leave my mind too, Paleo. I hate it. I hate it. My least favorite set piece in a Godzilla movie, probably since the Showa era. And I love the Showa era. I was talking to my friend recently, Matt, Monstrosities, go check him out. And I was trying to figure out, I'm like, you and I always have such different opinions on Godzilla movies. What is up with that? And we're trying to figure out like which movies is his jams and which movies is my jams. And he and I are so like, he's not even like that opposite of me. It's just that his opinions are more scattered than mine. If you were to look at a scatter plot of my favorite Godzilla movies, it's very highly populated in the early Showa and very highly populated now in the Reiwa era or post 2014. Everything in the middle, I'm okay with. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I'm not as big of a fan of it. But I'm definitely an early Showa boy and a modern boy. And that's generally why I like my Godzilla a bit meaner, and why I like my movies a bit more serious, and why when it gets a little too late Showa goofy, I kind of drop off. Yeah, no, I completely am right there with you. I hope the new Empire trailers are very smart with their advertising, especially with given how Minus One played things pretty safe for a while. If you've seen the modern Minus One ads, they've given away the ending of the movie, especially with some bigger YouTubers putting that stuff in their thumbnails like it doesn't matter because they want those clicks. Good for them. Get that bag, I guess. It's disrespectful to the fans, I feel. But the ending Minus One's advertising has gone very crazy after the movie released in Japan, as most films do. And that's completely valid of Minus One. I think that it is entirely their call. But I do feel that Legendary has never had subtlety since literally 2014. I think they are very blunt, and I do feel like we are going to get spoilers. Legacy of Monsters was incredibly well advertised, I thought. Using footage from basically the first 5 episodes, scatter some clips from episode 8 in there, but basically the first 5 episodes only. And then the show can still feel like a surprise. And that was done by Apple TV and Legendary, whereas I guess Warner Bros. Is really the problem. Honestly, it's Warner Bros. I shouldn't criticize Legendary for that. It's mostly Warner Bros. It's just Warner Bros. Talk about a sledgehammer. Warner Bros. Has the subtlety of a sledgehammer when they advertise their films. Unfortunately. What's up, Sergeant Joker? I'm doing all right. How are you doing? Am I able to do... Let me see something. Okay, I got an idea. Give me a second, guys. Sorry it's so quiet. I'm working on something. Exactly, Childish. Let me cook. ASMR with the typing? Sorry, guys. I would like to see Edwards destroy all monsters for the MonsterVerse. I completely agree. I think it's so gone at this point. I think that vision is gone. I think the best bet we have to see Edwards back is in Monarch Season 2, and I don't think he will ever return because I think the MonsterVerse in many ways disrespected his vision, which is his fault for leaving. His fault for leaving. Hacker ASMR intensifies. I'm going full May, whatever her name is. What's May's name? What's May's last name? Do we know? I actually don't know if we know May's last time, but I'm going full May Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Okay. Can you guys participate in that? Can you guys see that? I just tried to put out a poll. That's the first time I've ever tried to run a poll. But I tried to put out a poll because I want to see what people feel. Where is the MonsterVerse at? Where are we right now? Is it oversaturated and headed for failure? Is the MonsterVerse killed itself with subpar entries? Does it just simply depend on the quality of the entry? Or is it good as ever? Is it healthy as ever? Ava style typing? Well, good for that. I'm glad. I hope you enjoyed. Okay, Caleb. I was sad to see Doherty has a consulting credit for Monarch and Edwards doesn't. Oh, I guess you're sad to see Edwards doesn't. I have a feeling that Doherty's involvement was very limited. For those of you who don't know the background of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, the show was originally pitched in 2019, I believe. I believe the show was pitched in 2019 or 2018, maybe. I'm kind of curious if I should run the same exact poll on Twitter to see if I get wildly different results, because I have a feeling Killed Itself with subpar entries would win on Twitter. I think that would win on Twitter. Subpar sums up the majority of the MonsterVerse. I don't know if I agree with that. I think that there was one entry that I would describe as subpar, personally. Even though I like it. I still like it. All right, good nighty night, SES. You think I should do that? I kind of think I should too. Minus One is so better than MonsterVerse. Godzilla, have you even seen Minus One? Have you seen it? Be honest. Have you seen it? Be 100% honest. Have you seen it? Because where is that comment coming from? I have a feeling you haven't seen it. Can I have your whole collection for $1? No. You just want G-Team. Well, then tweet about it. Tweet O'Shea. Tweet everybody. Yes, 5 times in Japan. Godzilla, I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious. But I agree with you. I think that Minus One was better than any MonsterVerse entry. I definitely need to rewatch Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island because it's been years since I watched them in full. I watched Kong Skull Island so frequently. It's probably one of my most watched movies of all time. I watch it all the time. We need to get Chris and O'Shea on a stream. Childish, I'm not joking right now. Go on Twitter and tweet Chris and O'Shea that they should be on a stream. Because I agree. Hopefully Godzilla will get a lot more screen time in the new Empire. I just personally don't. You're going to take my collection in 2026? That's a shame. I personally don't care about Godzilla's screen time at all. And I know that's just me, but like, take this for instance. And I'm very curious to see how people in this chat feel about this opinion that I have. Please let me know. Were you satisfied? I want you guys to answer first before I continue. And you obviously, I'm sure most of you know my answer. Were you guys satisfied with Godzilla's appearance in episode 3 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, for those who have seen it? I just want to see really quickly if you guys were satisfied with it or not. Because I've got a pretty strong opinion on it. Obviously, as I'm not hiding it. I'm just curious. I'm personally more excited for Minus One just because it's a new live-action Japanese Godzilla movie. Fair enough. I've seen a lot of that opinion as well. Lots of that opinion. I think the thing you called... what? Sorry, I bumped the mic, guys. I think the thing you can solidly say about the MonsterVerse is that the potential is being fulfilled in different ways in each movie in different ways. For better or worse, depending on preferences. That's very true. That's actually a great point. The MonsterVerse, in a weird way, I feel like the MonsterVerse as a whole encapsulates the Godzilla franchise as a whole. Because you start very serious, you get some semi-goofy in the middle, you get a really great spin-off, and then you get some wildly silly stuff. And occasionally you get a return to form with very serious entries. That's honestly, the MonsterVerse has kind of become a microcosm for the Godzilla franchise. And I think with a thing like Godzilla X Kong, which will forever be called Godzilla X Kong and not Godzilla Kong. I think the thing you run into is you're now at a polar extreme. Godzilla 2014 was kind of a polar extreme, very serious. We're now, I think, headed towards the opposite, where it's very adventurous, I'll call it. And I'm curious to see how people respond to that. I have my own personal takes on things, but I'm curious to see how other people respond to it. Yes. It seems Justin was into it. Godzilla appearing in episode 3 satisfied me in bed. Okay, the upcoming. We did need to know that. I don't mind because you said that the show is about Monarch and not the Titans and Mutos. Okay, Orca Boss, that's a fair opinion. Godzilla 93 says we know where the part was going, so it's fine. Nexus enjoyed it. Yeah, you're telling me they're teasing more and more of him showing up later on in the series IMO. Yeah, you can tell they're teasing him showing up more and more in the series IMO. Well, not really, to be honest, but yeah. I guess I could see what you're saying. I liked his appearance, but I didn't like the changes it made. That's fine, Caleb. I kind of agree. No, it seemed lazy and done in poor execution. Ethan obviously shares a similar opinion to me. Guys, what's the problem with Godzilla having 8 to 10 minutes of screen time? It's been that way since 1954. 2 Paleo nailed it right on the head. That's how I feel. I don't think there's any problem with Godzilla having limited screen time. I think it's all about the quality. I expected it to be about his screen time since it's not about him, but I know people want more. Yes, I'd say so. This is a show about Monarch, not Godzilla. There's lots more Godzilla than I expected so far, and I'm happy with his screen time in the latest episode. King Kaiju, that's a fantastic point. I would say the MonsterVerse isn't killing itself with subpar entries like the MCU. We would need tons more subpar entries for that. Absolutely, Joker. I personally loved the Godzilla 1954 scene, but I get why you don't like it as much. Well, thank you, Marco. I appreciate that. And I get why people love it. It makes a lot of sense why people are into it. Then again, MCU is a lot bigger. It depends on the movie, Megalon, blah, blah, blah. Megalon, whoa. How am I saying your name, by the way? Cyclonus? Cyclonus, you're being a goofball if you think, I'm going to say it, you're being an absolute certified goofball if you think Godzilla had lots of screen time in Megalon and Gigan 72. No, they didn't. Megalon, the movie where Godzilla shows up like 3 times. Jet Jaguar flies to Monster Island and says, Godzilla, come follow me. Godzilla swims, and then Godzilla shows up for one scene to fight with Megalon, or Jet Jaguar. That movie had so little Godzilla. That movie does not have a lot of Godzilla. That comment is crazy to me. Gigan 72, same deal. Godzilla shows up at the very end of that movie. In the later entries in the Showa era, Godzilla is basically used as a big gun. That's why Terror of Mechagodzilla and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla felt fresh, because Godzilla showed up multiple times throughout the movies, whereas the way we were trending before that point was that he just didn't show up as much. He showed up like one time at the end of each movie to do a big fight, and that was literally all he did. When will the MonsterVerse find its tone? The upcoming, I don't think it ever will. I think because there's no creative director behind the MonsterVerse, there's no Kevin Feige of the MonsterVerse, I personally think it'll be a basis by basis thing depending on who is running the MonsterVerse entry. Legacy of Monsters is obviously run by Chris Black and Matt Fraction, I believe, and those two guys clearly prefer the more serious stuff. Whereas you've got a guy like Adam Wingard, who's headed up the last 2 movies, who clearly prefers the sillier stuff. And we knew that when we saw Wingard's top 10 list of Godzilla movies, and it was like, or top 5, I think we saw, and it was like Godzilla vs. Hedorah, Godzilla Invasion of Astro Monster, those kind of sillier entries. So it just depends on what the filmmaker is going for, and that's in many ways the beauty of Godzilla, is that he can be whatever. As long as we don't get another Godzilla's Revenge, I'm good, blah, blah, blah. People need to check their bias at the door. Instead of going in with an axe to grind. I dislike Godzilla vs. Kong with super sci-fi jacked to the gills. No King of the Monsters follow-up. Really, still had a blast watching it. Saturn Dusk, right there with you, buddy. I really dislike on a conceptual level almost every single decision they made for Godzilla vs. Kong. I just think Wingard is a really strong filmmaker and pulled it off. I think Wingard did things that never should have worked, and they worked just fine. In Monarch in the first 3 episodes of Monarch, it's already longer than Godzilla vs. Kong. He doesn't even have a minute of screen time. It all depends on what the plot is. Egg frickin' exactly, Childish Landino. Okay, this leads me to what I was getting at earlier. Personally, and this is just me. You rolled your ankle. I'm sorry, T-Rex. This is just me, but personally, Godzilla's appearance in episode 3 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters didn't do anything for me at all, because all he did was walk. I thought that the use of Godzilla was not... It wasn't strong enough to justify the changes made, I felt. Me personally, I felt that Godzilla showed up to swim and then walk. He took 3 steps, and people... Yeah, Godzilla! Ah! They cheered for it as if it was anything. But it was just Godzilla walking. Like, all we literally did was look at him. Which is fine. I don't have an issue with Godzilla fans being hyped about that. I'm just saying, for me personally, that was not the selling point of the scene. I thought the scene really worked because Keiko had such a strong emotional core and performance. I thought that the scene where she's trying to sprint to tackle that... Which, by the way, what was she even trying to do? Would that bomb not be on a timer? She's trying to, like, break that satellite dish. What was that satellite used for? I guess we're implying that that satellite's what triggered the bomb? I don't think that makes any sense. But she can run to try and shut the satellite off, and I thought she sold the scene. She was the reason that scene worked. Without Keiko, that scene would have probably been one of my least favorite scenes in the MonsterVerse. I thought she really, really sold the whole thing. A radio trigger, you guys are saying? I guess it could be a radio trigger. Remote switches? Okay, V-button. That's fair enough. I guess I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. I always thought that bombs were on a timer, which, I guess I don't remember off the top of my head if Castle Bravo was an airburst. I feel like it wasn't. I feel like it was on a pedestal the way it was in this show. Which, by the way, and this was a conversation I had on Twitter today, I think it's really disrespectful to name that test Castle Bravo. That was a real-life nuclear tragedy, and the MonsterVerse plays it almost... I mean, they play it as a tragedy, but it's Godzilla's tragedy in the MonsterVerse, which I think is really distasteful to the Daigo Fukumaru. I think it's Daigo Fukuryu Maru. I think it's really distasteful to the Lucky Dragon number 5 and their crew. I personally dislike the use of it being called Castle Bravo. I wish they would have called it anything else. And then it would have been a little better, but 1954 is going to 1954, so let's do it. Either way, my point is, Godzilla did nothing for me in that scene. He showed up and walked, and I cared not at all. I didn't care. It meant about as much to me as the shots of Godzilla swimming in front of the submarine in Godzilla King of the Monsters. Those shots that many of you probably are just now remembering, and you're like, oh, I remember that shot. That's so true. Godzilla did swim in front of a submarine in Godzilla King of the Monsters for one shot. That's about how I felt about Godzilla walking up on a beach in Godzilla in Monarch Legacy of Monsters episode 3. That's not what made the scene work, and I was so confused by the reaction where people are like, yeah, Godzilla's so freaking cool. Godzilla's walking. And it's so awesome because we got to see Godzilla. And I guess that just all comes back to my point on Godzilla's screen time, the use of Godzilla. I don't think Godzilla's screen time matters because he did absolutely nothing of value in that episode. But the scene still worked because Keiko was so strong and her performance was so strong that it justified the scene. Godzilla didn't justify that scene. He did the absolute opposite of that. By getting up out of water, he completely spit in the face of what the MonsterVerse had told us so far, but it was Keiko who sold that scene. Keiko and Shaw. And I guess all that comes back to, it's all about how you use things. Like a -1. Dropped my phone. A -1's not going to show up all the time. But when he shows up, there's a really strong emotional core to his scenes. I mean, it matters. It matters when he shows up. When a Godzilla 2014 shows up, it mattered. It felt like there was a lot of weight behind it. I don't know. I guess that's my take. I think that the scene itself needs to justify the scene. I don't think Godzilla can do that on his own. I think Godzilla oftentimes can do the opposite, where, for instance, in some of the Heisei movies, Godzilla's walking through a field on his way to something. I don't care. I don't care that Godzilla has 2 legs and can go. It's about the scene itself. That's why Godzilla's screen time has never mattered to me. And that's why I think Legacy of Monsters is really strong, because the writing itself is strong enough to get things to matter, even when they shouldn't. How do you think the show will continue from here? Well, Sergeant Joker, I took some big swings on the last stream I did. Another thing that I think, okay, here's another theory I have. I don't want to say what I know that you guys haven't seen yet, but I will say it doesn't influence this theory. Another theory I have that is completely based on 1 through 3, episodes 1 through 3. I think, and I know a lot of us are starting to feel that Shaw is going to be revealed to be kind of the bad guy of the show. Well, I don't think Shaw will be revealed to be the bad guy of the show. I think Verdugo will be the bad guy of the show. As we talked about in the last video, you guys pointed out that her name means executioner, which is crazy. I didn't pick up on that. But as we talked about, but anyways, yeah, I think Verdugo is going to be the bad guy. I do think Shaw is going to be there to kick Hiroshi's ass. I think Shaw was put in that Monarch prison by Hiroshi. I don't know why. My theory is that it's going to be something to do with the fact that Hiroshi felt betrayed by Shaw's secrets and lies. Maybe Shaw didn't tell him the truth about his father. Maybe he didn't tell him the truth about Monarch. And when Hiroshi found out about it, he turned on Shaw. Got Monarch to put Shaw away because Shaw knows too much, because Shaw wants the Titans dead. Not everybody wants the Titans dead. Maybe Shaw wants the Titans protected, and Verdugo wants the Titans killed. Maybe Hiroshi wants the Titans killed, and Shaw is on the side of our Monarch characters from Godzilla King of the Monsters, where he wants them to be an essential part of the ecosystem. I don't know. The point is, I think that Hiroshi and Shaw are going to be in major contention. I think Hiroshi is going to be the one who put Shaw away. I think it's going to be his fault. And I think when Shaw and Hiroshi finally meet back up, it's going to be a very brutal interaction where the kids are going to be put in the crossfire and be like, how do we feel about the fact that these guys don't get along? Because there's a very telling line in episode 2, episode 2, where Emiko is talking to Kentaro, and she says, Shaw and Hiroshi had a big falling out a long, long time ago. I have a feeling that the big falling out they had was that Shaw got put into prison because Hiroshi was turned against him. That's my theory. I get that I just love the characters, and I just loved seeing Godzilla because it looked classic, and I loved the reaction of the characters. It's more than one shot, of course. There you go, Marco. But you see, your point's coming back to the characters, which is kind of what my point always comes back to as well. They missed a chance to shine a light on the tragedy with the Lucky Dragon and the Islanders exposed to Castle Bravo's wrath and symbolize innocent people hurt from trying to win fights before they start. Ethan, that would be a fantastic theme for this show to touch upon. That would be very in line with Kong Skull Island. One of my favorite moments in Kong Skull Island is Cole. You know, I carry this AK instead of what does he say? You know, I carry this instead of an M16, something like that. I took it off a farmer working for the NVA. He said he'd never even seen a gun before we showed up. Sometimes the enemy doesn't exist until you go looking for one. Is that what he says? Something like that? That might be word for word. And then Randa says, what happens if that enemy shows up on your doorstep? I'll still have his gun. Best of luck with that, soldier. The whole point of that was that picking fights causes the enemy. not the other way around in some cases. Sometimes you hurt people when you try and stand up against something you view as bad. And what you're talking about there would be a very interesting theme for the MonsterVerse to play upon that would have real world allegories and implications. I just don't think the MonsterVerse wants to dive headfirst into the realities of what Godzilla is, and that is a tragic character filled with despair and sorrow. And I don't think the MonsterVerse wants to be bogged down with all of that, so I think they're going to say, actually, nukes are so freaking cool because they make Godzilla beefier. Which is, in my opinion, stupid. Irresponsible. The boxing historian. Thank you very much. Is that your name? Is that your full name? I can't see. Your full name's a little cut off. I'm sorry your full name's a little cut off. Thank you very much for the donation. I really appreciate that. Why is it telling me to put a user in timeout? I don't want to put a user in timeout. Thank you very much, the boxing. I think your name's the boxing historian. Thank you very much for the donation. I really appreciate that. Godzilla has defeated the Power Rangers, Avengers, the Champions, Fantastic Four, S.H.I.E.L.D., and now the Justice League and Superman. Yes, he has. Comic book Godzilla is a character that can do anything. It's good for him, man. I think Superman should have flown straight through Godzilla's brain and killed him in one shot. But more power to Godzilla for winning that fight. Godzilla, wait. Heisei has done some very shady stuff. Oh, Hiroshi has done some very shady stuff. Having two separate families, always keeping secrets makes you wonder. Absolutely. I think Hiroshi is doing things for what he believes is the right reason, which I think is going to be to protect his two families. And I think they're going to be the wrong things. I think he's going to be doing the wrong things for the right reasons. I think he's going to be a very complex character because Legacy of Monsters is a show that has a lot of shades of gray, which I love. Every character has their own shades of gray. And I really like that. Nobody's 100% right. Nobody's 100% wrong. And it feels very real for it. That's why we got the Hollow Earth energy now. Yeah, childish. Get ready to see what that Hollow Earth energy can do. Because it can do a lot more than power a robot. Comic book Godzilla is legit a god for no reason. Yeah, remember when comic book Godzilla blew up hell? Remember when he blew up a planet with his atomic breath? Remember when he vaporized the Greek gods? Comic book Godzilla is what all Godzilla fans cream over. It's what all Godzilla fans believe Godzilla should be, and is the exact opposite of what I feel Godzilla should stand for. I like it when Godzilla is weak. Weaker. Godzilla 2014, and anybody will debate me on this. People have been fighting me on this opinion since 2015. Godzilla in the 2014 movie was one of the weaker Godzillas we have seen in a film. He got hurt by the missiles on the Golden Gate Bridge, and people back in the day used to justify it by saying, that's because they shot him in the gills, and the gills are his weak spot. Fair enough. I don't care. The point is, most Godzillas up to that point walked through explosions like they were literally nothing. 2014's Godzilla actually showed signs of being in pain. He roars like he's in pain. He tries to run away, and when he can't take it, he eventually splits the bridge in half. Godzilla gets his ass kicked by the Mutos. They stab into him. They chip apart his dorsal spines. They make him bleed tons of blood, especially you can see that in the 4K, which is fix the fucking color grading, Legendary, and then we'll be able to see it a little more. But you can see him bleeding. He gets stabbed. He gets the shit kicked out of him. He gets thrown into buildings. He's losing the fight for 90% of it. His atomic breath is weaker than normal. The building falls on him and it nearly kills him. He finishes the fight with the Mutos and he collapses in the street and he can't breathe. He has to sleep off the night. That's the Godzilla that I love. I love a Godzilla who gets his ass kicked and perseveres. I love it when Godzilla really, really, truly doesn't stand a shot and pulls it off anyways. Godzilla and Godzilla vs. Gigan, although he has Anguirus as a teammate, the two of them get their ass kicked. Godzilla's bleeding, gushing blood. He gets his ass thrown to the floor and is on the ropes the whole movie. Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla gets absolutely fucking annihilated in the first act of that movie, shows back up and gets his ass kicked and needs a teammate to help him out. Godzilla 93, you're literally exactly the type of person I'm talking about, buddy. You're the type of person who's going to deny it. But it's true. It's the truth. What I'm saying right now is true. When Gareth Edwards made the Godzilla 2014 movie, he made Godzilla weaker because he knew it was more compelling. Godzilla wasn't able to do everything. He wasn't able to solve everything with his pure might. He was a guy who had to get creative. The only way he beat the male Muto, that guy that could fly around him, could run circles around him and kick the shit out of him, was because he got creative. And that's why the tail slap is so brilliant. That's why it matters so much. And you feel like, oh, this is a triumph. Godzilla fucking earned that one. Godzilla with the Kiss of Death is so crazy. I love it. It's so smart. It shows Godzilla problem solving, and it shows Godzilla overcoming his weaknesses in a way that we had never seen him do in a movie before. And then King of the Monsters made Godzilla do whatever the plot asks him to. Godzilla beat Ghidorah twice in a row, which was crazy. He beat Ghidorah twice in a row. Like in the Antarctic scene, Ghidorah runs away scared. And I know Godzilla got knocked down a pit and it was the Argo jet that chased Ghidorah away. But the fact that we're saying Godzilla didn't die, the fact that we're saying that Ghidorah ran away, that scene made Ghidorah feel like he had no stakes. Because Ghidorah got scared away by Godzilla in a plane. Especially after he had knocked Godzilla down a pit and Godzilla was no longer an active threat and a plane scared King Ghidorah away. And then Ghidorah shows up and gets drowned and gets his head ripped off, and the oxygen destroyer is the only reason Godzilla loses that fight. Thematically, I like what Michael Dougherty was doing there, by the way. I want to make that clear. I actually really like what Dougherty was doing with the oxygen destroyer, despite the fact that I think it's a subpar use of the bomb. And then Godzilla shows up in the final act, and when he should have the advantage, he somehow then gets his ass kicked. But then he still perseveres, and it doesn't feel as earned because he's now burning Godzilla out of nowhere. He didn't get supercharged from the nuke in 1954, so why'd he get supercharged from the nuke now? And the Mothra burning Godzilla thing came out of nowhere, and it was a nice Rodan callback to 1993, and so I like it, but it kind of just came out of nowhere. Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla is suddenly injured by a punch from Kong when he had previously survived a fall from the atmosphere. And then he gets his ass kicked by Mechagodzilla, and that's a moment where it starts to feel a little more like we're stepping back into the 2014 realm of a Godzilla who needs to get creative. But he doesn't really get that opportunity because he gets his ass kicked because the plot tells him to, and then Kong does the fight. I guess the point I'm making is that I found the MonsterVerse Godzilla has been far less interesting after King of the Monsters. I felt that King of the Monsters made Godzilla overpowered. I felt that Godzilla vs. Kong perpetuated the overpoweredness to the point where there was never a single thought in a single person's head, including mine, number one Team Kong guy, that Godzilla was going to lose that fight. Not a single person thought Godzilla was going to lose that fight. Every single person and their mother knew that Kong was going to win the fight. And I certainly, or what did I just say right there? Every single person in the on the planet Earth knew that Godzilla was going to win the fight and that Kong was going to lose. Did I totally mix that up? My bad, guys. We all knew that Godzilla was going to win because he was overpowered. He was overpowered from a movie ago. Kong stood no chance before the movie even started. If Kong had gone up against the 2014 Godzilla, he would have stood a chance because the 2014 Godzilla was a totally different guy. He was an entirely different character. Brother, Darwin, brother, you're not wrong. You're wrong. You're not wrong. You're wrong, brother. Isn't because the nuke in 1954 was significantly weaker than the modern day nukes mentioned in 2014 movies, so maybe they had something to do with it. Here's the problem with that. Castle Bravo is the largest nuclear bomb ever detonated by the United States in the history of the United States. The Castle Bravo nuclear bomb was 15 megatons. To put that in comparison, Hiroshima was 15 kilotons. Like 1,000 times smaller. The nuke used on Godzilla in 1954 was the largest nuke ever used. And I know Godzilla 2014 calls it kilotons. They say, that bomb was kilotons, we're talking megatons now. You're wrong, dude, you're wrong. It was always megatons. Always. It was a hydrogen bomb. It was the largest hydrogen bomb ever detonated in the United States history. And now you can tell me in the MonsterVerse that it wasn't. And that's a case where I'll say, fuck it. Monarch Legacy of Monsters showed that bomb was a baby. It was a firecracker. It did nothing. It had no consequences to the guys who were sitting right next to it, making me think it was the smallest nuclear bomb ever detonated. But to be real, the MonsterVerse isn't smart enough to know that. That's not a conscious decision they made. That was a mistake. And we have to acknowledge that was a mistake. It wasn't on purpose. Castle Bravo is still said to be Castle Bravo. That was the largest hydrogen bomb test the United States has ever done. The bomb that Serizawa carries is a weapon that Serizawa was able to carry. A weapon that a man was able to carry. And there are nuclear weapons that men are able to carry. The W-54 springs to mind. For those of you who don't know what the W-54 was, the W-54 is a backpack nuke. It's a tactical nuclear device that you can carry on your back. Soldiers were supposed to use that in war. The problem with the W-54 is that it's got the yield of like tons. We're talking tons. 10 tons. 1 ton. 100 tons. We're not even in the kiloton range. Like hundreds of times smaller than the atomic bombs we're used to. Serizawa carried that goddamn thing. You know how heavy the Castle Bravo bomb was? Let's find out. Castle Bravo's hydrogen bomb was 23,500 pounds. The W-54, on the other hand, was 51 pounds. Serizawa, let's see. Serizawa, who is about 60 years old in Godzilla King of the Monsters, assuming we're using Ken Watanabe's real age, carried a nuclear bomb on his own. Which means it had to be about like 50-something pounds, because he's an old man, and he wasn't like totally ripped. Do you see the point that I'm making, that the MonsterVerse just didn't put that much thought into it? And the point is, the hydrogen bomb explosion used in 1954 should have exploded Godzilla like an atom bomb, as Rick Stanton says, but it doesn't. Because that wasn't a rule that was invented then. Now it came in King of the Monsters. That was a retcon that came about where they said Godzilla got supercharged. I don't know why. I don't know why he got supercharged, but he did. Whatever, man. Do I read too much into this stuff? Yes. Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. But it's like questions that should be asked. I think. I hate the ignorance towards radiation in the MonsterVerse. I think that them saying Titan radiation is different than regular radiation is fine. I think it's fine that the radiation the Titans leave behind can rejuvenate life. I think that's actually a very interesting idea. But I do feel a little uncomfortable with the way that the MonsterVerse treats real-life nuclear weapons, especially because there's no consequences for the nuclear bomb used in the 2014 movie. There's no consequences for the Castle Bravo bomb. It's justified through the means of trying to kill Godzilla, even though it killed a real-life man. The bomb killed a real-life man. I think it's just weird. For the record, I'm a little uncomfortable with Minus One's use of real-life history as well. This is the babiest spoiler of all time. plug your ears for 20 seconds. I apologize. It's actually not a spoiler. It's a baby spoiler. Do you guys remember the nuclear submarine? Do you guys remember the submarine that we saw the blueprints of in the -1 teaser? That I was like, well, that submarine sank in like 1944, something like that. It's a real life American submarine. It sank because they were fighting the Japanese. One of their torpedoes hit themselves. They sank. Go check out my -1 coverage. I talked about it. -1 changes that to say it was Godzilla who sank it. I feel a little strange about that as well, because those are real people who died. Those are real people, and it's weird to me to say that actually they died because of a fake dinosaur. It makes me a little uncomfortable. I think it's weird. Have to read that much into it if you're that passionate about it. I guess that's true. I am very passionate about the MonsterVerse, and I love the MonsterVerse. And that's why I want it to be held to higher standards, because I love it. The messed up with the gravity of G's temple helped lighten the bomb's weight. The messed up gravity of Godzilla's temple helped lighten the bomb's weight for Serizawa to carry it. You pulled that so far out of your butt cheeks. That's not real. They didn't say anything about lightened gravity in Godzilla's temple. That came out of you. Atomic bomb, baby boy. She can't start one of those She can start one of those chain reactions in my head. I don't know what chain reaction you're talking about. I think Godzilla got supercharged because he was absorbing radiation for the Hollow Earth and then the nuke. Well, I don't know if I agree with that, because they say the Hollow Earth radiation is going to take years to set in. They say that's going to take years to kick in, and then all of a sudden it just works. Because they nuke him. But only the nuke should have activated, not the Hollow Earth energy. Maybe a very odd pick, but who do you think will win King Kong 2005 versus Godzilla 2014? Godzilla 2014, obviously, he's enormous. Godzilla 1998 versus King Kong 2021. Kong 2021. It's disrespectful to radiation victims when they could be spreading awareness. Ethan, that's exactly my point. That's what I think elevates Toho's Godzilla films above the United States, is the awareness about the subject matter. The MonsterVerse, in King of the Monsters, I think the MonsterVerse has an incredibly interesting allegory about environmentalism. And that was a strong, bold choice for that movie to take, that I think is very valid of that movie, that doesn't reflect the way they shy away from those subjects in Godzilla vs. Kong, where they completely ignore the more thematic relevance that Godzilla normally has in favor of action spectacle, which is a valid approach as well. That's just going to become the difference of what you go see a Godzilla movie for, which is ultimately why I love that these things all exist. Godzilla versus Kong can be a really silly action spectacle, and on the other end of the spectrum, you can have -1 be a heavy nuclear allegory, and they both can coexist together and satisfy different audiences. Obviously, I'm on this end of the spectrum, but I really appreciate that there are a lot of people on this end of the spectrum, and I can still appreciate this movie over here. I just think personally, there's more opportunity that is being left on the table. I watched D-Man and Hassan for learning about history. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate it. I'm trying my best. I am trying my best. Thank you very much, Brone. You got a lot of other letters in that name, but thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have a good night. I really got... What happened with your hand? Over editing. I have wrist problems from over editing. I edit too much, and I have wrist problems. I gotta go to the bathroom, to be honest with you guys. So I'm gonna boogie for just a minute. I'm gonna put the stream on. I'm gonna pop the stream on this screen, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom for a minute. And I'm gonna try and turn some music on, and I don't know if it'll work, but give me a second. Sorry. That is such a rancid comment, Tubby. that's, that's actually horrible. Hello, everybody. I lost so many viewers right then. Sorry, guys. I had to go pee. Marco, it's all about execution, but I think those topics are really heavy. So I don't know. I did take, actually, I ran out of allergy medicine, so I did not take allergy medicine, but I took cold medicine today, and I'm doing okay. Cold Piler, absolutely. I think they should bring back monsters like Rodan, King Caesar, and Biolante. You know, I was talking about recently how I feel that the MonsterVerse has a monster problem where the monsters mean nothing. And one way to solve that would be to introduce different types of monsters than just organic beings. You introduce a Destroyer, who's the result specifically of man-made consequences, nuclear, or actually oxygen destroyer radiation, to create a Destroyer. Then you have that Destroyer go around slaughtering the 17 and counting, killing Behemoth, killing Scylla, killing Methuselah, killing the others. You create a real sense of stakes that man's actions have consequences. That'd be a great way to introduce those kind of ideas. You're still in better health than me. I'm getting over the strep all week long. I'm sorry, Saturn Dusk. I'm really sorry to hear that. I had coming back home from Japan, I was on a plane and like everybody on that plane was coughing, and you're on that plane for 12 hours. So you're just surrounded by people coughing, and I wear a mask, and some of the time I took it off because I was, I don't remember why. So I was sleeping or something. It was hard to get sleep with it on. But point is, ever since I've come home from Japan, I have felt sick. I don't know why. All of the food I eat makes me feel yucky. That's why I've actually started to eat more Asian food, and I've started to feel a little better, which I think goes to speak a little bit about America's food standards. But I've felt sick ever since I've come home from Japan. Like, I feel like breathing is harder. I just feel yucky. Japan is much cleaner. Yeah, I mean, their air quality is not that much better. I should say their air quality has its issues. One thing that I thought was hysterical was flying to Japan and being like, damn, there's haze in the sky. This place has pollution. But then flying back to LA and looking at the sky and being like, yeah, it was actually blue in that other country, and now that I'm looking at it here, it looks like literally gray and hazy. The manager! He's here! That is the craziest. Thank you for joining the stream, man. It's crazy to see you on here. I will try not to die on you until we see -1. We'll see -1 and then I'll die. But it's actually got me legitimately thinking about like if I want to keep living in this country. After I took my trip there, I felt like I've been unsatisfied since I've gotten home. And I would like to leave again. I just feel sick all the time. The food makes me feel disgusting. The people that I interact with make me feel yucky. My money goes a lot further over there. Just retire in Japan. It's a dream. That's the dream. I should. The craziest part is I feel like with the current exchange rate, you wouldn't need that much US money to just go to Japan and live for a long time. I give it like 30 years. I might. I went to Japan and I totally miscalculated. I totally miscalculated what I was doing. I brought $100 to spend every day. Yes, I do, Adam. I have a Discord, but to get access to that, that's through the Patreon. If you want to check out the Patreon, I've got that link in the description below. That makes sure I can keep making videos for you guys. It's why the Patreon is one of the reasons why I was able to take a bunch of time off from work so that I could do all this Monarch and Minus One coverage here in November, because obviously there's a lot of stuff to cover. And so in order to justify that, I needed some help on the help on the fans. Sorry, Tubby, I read part of your post instead. I needed some help on the side, so the Patreon can help that. Also, I think almost 100% of the money I've made through the Patreon, maybe not 100%, but the vast majority of the money I made through the Patreon, almost entirely due to Saturn Dusk. Huge thank you to Saturn Dusk. That was the reason I was able to go to Japan. I put basically all of the Patreon money into going to Japan. So big thank you to the patrons, specifically Saturn Dusk, for helping make that possible. It went a super long way towards making sure I could live out my dream. And I do have some fun content that I filmed in Japan that I hope to share with you guys. I went to a lot of the Minus One filming locations, and I want to share that once the movie's out in America. I'm waiting for the movie to come out in America. And when the movie comes out in America, I want to share with you what the current locations look like, because they don't look anything like they did in Minus One. Obviously, Minus One takes place in 1947, so they look entirely different, and it was actually really, really exciting to go. So big shout out to all of that. Big shout out to Saturn Dusk. What was I talking about before that? Oh, I know what I was talking about. I brought $100 a day, US. I brought $100 US a day to spend in Japan because I was taking a lot of trains, because I was eating a lot of food. I ate out every single day. And I knew I wanted to buy some figures and stuff. So I brought $100 per day to Japan. So that was $500 I brought, thinking I'm going to spend $500 US when I went. I traveled to Ginza, I traveled to Hibiya, I traveled to Chiyorai City, I traveled to Shinjuku, I traveled back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I bought toys, I bought collectibles, I bought stupid stuff, I bought food all the time. Every place I went got food. I spent like not even $200 in total. And I was actively trying to blow money. I'd see a Godzilla thing at the Toho Cinemas, and I'd be like, I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab that Minus One thing. I was trying to lose the money because I knew the exchange rate wasn't going to be as good on the other end. I knew I wasn't going to get it all back. And because also you have to go to specific places to translate the coins. And if you don't know, if none of you have been to Japan, so much of the money is through coins. So much of the money. I do need a new PC. You're not wrong about that. Yes, you're not wrong about that, the manager. So much of the money in Japan is coins, and it's hard to tell what you're spending, because it's like, this water bottle costs 3,000 yen? What even does that mean? It was typically like 300. You'd be like, I'm going to spend 300 yen on a water bottle? You'd be like, okay, I'm going to Ginza. That's 200 yen. This thing is 2,000 yen. Like, okay, here's a great example. I bought I bought the -1, that theater exclusive, the blue one. I bought the blue theater exclusive Bandai -1, and it was like, this is gonna be 15,000 yen. I don't even know how much that like, what is that, like $150, that kind of deal. And then you'd walk out and look it up and be like, oh, it's $15. That was $15. Like, everything was so wildly cheap. It was just so much big numbers that it was really hard to keep track of. You'd be like, how much am I spending on anything? How much is anything worth here? That when I was actively trying to blow money on the last day, because I was like, I'm way under budget. I need to buy stuff quick. So I was trying to buy stuff with what little time I had left in Tokyo. And I wound up coming home with $300+ because US dollars, because I just didn't spend nearly what I thought I was going to, which is fine. I'm happier to come home with money, especially with my car in the state that it's in. But it was very goofy. It was very goofy to be like, I don't know what any of this means. Yeah, D-manager. Can't be me either, not here. Like, okay, for instance, if I were to go to Qdoba right now, I picked that because that was the last thing my brother and I ate. If I were to go to Qdoba right now, get Qdoba for dinner, that money I spent on dinner, like today it was like, maybe like almost $40 for the both of us. That's 2 days worth of 3 meals in Japan. I could have gotten 2 days worth of 3 meals. You get like a salmon dinner for $6. It was so crazy. I want to go back. It was so crazy. You'd be like, really? Are you sure? For a full salmon dinner? This is $6? Yes, it was. Don't talk about the Mothra body pillows. That's not for this stream. That's for the bed. My old high school has a Japanese class basically teaching about Japan culture, how to speak it. Students from Japan also come to visit sometimes. That's really cool, man. You should take that class if you're not in it already. That sounds like an amazing class. I see you guys like Tubby. I see you guys are big fans of Tubby in this stream. What's up, Noob Master? Welcome back to the stream. Adam, I do too. We tried to bury it, burn it. In the end, we ended up giving it all away. Sure, man, whatever that means. Every time the MonsterVerse gets a new director, something important is left behind in the lore. Some of them don't seem to care or even watch the previous materials with attention. The thing that was most noticeable to me was the way that Jonah Allen's entire plot was dropped and not touched upon in Godzilla vs. Kong. I know that Michael Dougherty changed the post-credit scene he wanted for Godzilla King of the Monsters to better reflect the script for Godzilla vs. Kong. Therefore, we inserted the Ghidorah head back into the film, and that was not the original post-credit scene. The original post-credit scene, for those of you who don't know, was going to be a Mothra hatching sequence where a new Mothra is born. That was changed to better reflect where Godzilla vs. Kong was headed. And then it didn't matter because they had continuity errors with it anyways, with Bernie stating that there's 2 heads when there shouldn't be. Adam Wingard having to backtrack that in an interview with Toho Kingdom that he did, where he was like, I pointed that out in the writer's room. They didn't care. Maybe Bernie was wrong. Sloppy writing. And everything with Alan Jonah's group should have been very much a central theme of where the MonsterVerse was headed, because that character was so important for a minute, and then he wasn't. I agree. I hope we get a Godzilla 3 directed by a new director who follows up on Michael Wingard's ideas. Michael Wingard? Michael Wingard? Michael Dougherty? I'm going to drop that poll on Twitter, as you guys have asked me to do earlier. And let's see what people on Twitter have to say about it all. Twitter's hard because you get so many less characters. Like, I am out of characters already. Whatever. I'm trying my best here to rephrase all these. Ah! No! I lost the pull! Oh no. Oh, and I see Jared had to take his post down. Jared, the concept artist for Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, had to take his post down about the about that one thing that I don't want to mention again. Okay, let me give this another shot. I accidentally deleted the poll. Okay, I'm going to post that poll on Twitter, and we're going to see just how negative Twitter is. Very negative is the answer. But I'm actually very curious to see. I'm going to put tons of hashtags, too, to try and get this poll out there. Okay, that's about every poll, every hashtag known to man. We're going to let that poll run for a day and see how things turn out. Here's a fun game. How long can I be on Twitter before it becomes negative, before I get negativity? We spent like $30 for 2 weeks of food for me. Damn, man. Where? When? Where'd you go, D-Manager, to spend $30 for two weeks of food? Where'd you go to do that? Okay. The poll's on Twitter. And I'm going to end this poll. Okay, the official results for Target. You should actually text me what you ordered, because or what you bought from Target, because I have a feeling that I would like your food choices. Depends on the quality of the entry. One with 47%. That's what you guys feel. Had the boy teach me how to cook. Good for you, man. You're going to have to teach me too. That one with 47%. Just fine, good as ever, 40%. I disagree with that. I think that there is real damage done to the MonsterVerse, unfortunately. Oversaturated and headed for failure with 6%, killed itself with subpar entries with 4%. I'm very curious to see how this poll does on Twitter. I think it's going to do, I think it's going to be overwhelmingly negative, with the number one answer being subpar entries killed it. That's my guess. I don't think Michael Wingard needs to become a meme. I actually don't know why that was what came out of my mouth. You already sent me a death threat on Twitter. Then we've got that covered. Michael Wingard could direct a MonsterVerse Final Wars. Adam Wingard seems to not like the writing Godzilla vs. Kong, so seemingly seeing him bring his personal writings for Godzilla X Kong makes me more confident that this movie will be the movie he wants to make. I guess the difference is the movie he wants to make also the movie you want to make, Childish? Because Wingard was very satisfied with the final result of Godzilla vs. Kong, which he worked really hard for, and he deserves to be chill with that movie. He worked really hard to make the movie he wanted. Were the changes he made better or worse than the original script? In my opinion, I think that the original script had a lot of really interesting ideas that I feel like are genuinely missing from the MonsterVerse. I mean, it followed up on the Orca. It had more compelling human drama. Godzilla vs. Kong is a movie that goes for spectacle over all else. And I think what you're seeing with already Godzilla X Kong is that they're going very hard on the sillier, goofier aspects, the all-out chaos. Okay, it took me 3 tweets to find something negative. 3 tweets to find something negative. This one's KDM complaining about the fan base, making valid points. Okay. I don't want to run a poll on it because I really don't want to spread negativity. But I'm so curious to hear what you guys have to say about this. I discussed this with my brother earlier. He and I didn't really know what to make of it. We didn't really know how to feel about it. I really, really would like to know what you guys think. So, today I discovered Toho. Actual Toho. Real life Toho has been using some of my photos without my photo credit. I'm really curious what you guys think on if that's something that Warren's being upset about. Because I know a lot of photographers who would be really upset about that. I know lots of photographers who would lose their mind about it. And I know some people who would not be upset about it. But Toho has been using my photos without my permission. And I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. Uh-oh, what? Lots of what's in the chat. Yes, be upset. Better call Saul. That's probably my best option, is to call Saul. You should be proud, Goji Fan. Goji Fan thinks I should be proud. Saturn Dusk came with the ultimate conclusion here that I should strike them back, which is absolutely so true and justified. Sounds like Legendary using people's art and not crediting them. Adam, I'm really curious what you're talking about there. I've seen Legendary shout out artists all the time. So I'm very curious. If you can show me examples of that, I'm actually really curious to hear what you're talking about. As far as I was aware, Legendary was always crediting the artists. At least on Twitter, I've seen them always share fan art, and they've always been, especially Legendary Comics Twitter, has always been very supportive of the fan art community. Sounds like Ace Attorney. What are the photos of? That's a good question. I'll answer that when I blast these comments. Are you upset about not getting credit? Toho would be very upset if it were them. If it were them, demon the people on Twitter, let them fight. Fight them. I'd honestly be honored, but at the same time question heavily. Watermark them and piss them off. I would be excited. Was it for anime Matsuri stuff? Might be in your contract. I don't know. Sorry, but I'd be upset. Objection, but cool. Vox, you're right. Oh, yeah, you're paid with exposure. I think it's okay to be proud of some part, but equally understand to be upset with it. At least give you an interview. Add mustaches to all your photos from now on. I think Godzilla X Kong was originally going to be a Kong movie. Hassan, yes, Godzilla X Kong was originally going to be a Kong movie. Back in 2019, I learned what the next Godzilla movie was going to be. I learned what the next Kong movie was going to be. They've kind of combined them into the same movie, which I think is the wrong decision. But I've known since 2019 where the MonsterVerse was supposed to be headed when it was originally going to be kind of more Doherty led, and things obviously changed. Don't sue. We need to work together just for credit so we can build your channel and network. Yes and no. I can tell, but where can I post? Also, what Childish said. I know Takashi Yamazaki did that, but I did not. Toho did. That's goofy. Marco. This is another instance where I would love to know what you're talking about. Takashi Yamazaki has retweeted tons of artists and been incredibly supportive of the Godzilla art community. I'm really curious what you're talking about. I have never seen Yamazaki steal another person's artwork. I have only seen him be humble and share people's work very openly and kindly. I guess it's kind of cool to get that level of notoriety, but come on, man, not crediting is so simple and easy, just do it. Skullcrawler paintings in the Godzilla vs. Kong opening is traced fan art. Childish. You're on Twitter, obviously. Please tweet or DM me that information. I would love to find out what you're talking about. I've never heard that before, but I'm very curious to hear what you're talking about. They never let other people post clips of the films, but they can use other people's pictures without asking. Sounds wrong to me. That's a fair point. There was some sort of art that was used in King of the Monsters that wasn't credited. I just have never heard of that. I understand why to be mad, but Toho noticed you. That is a huge thing. Well, Toho Ben noticed me. In fact, I got scolded today for something I said in my recent Monarch video, which I feel bad about, so I'm going to have to never say it again. And Godzilla vs. Kong intro has a dozen of pictures made by fans. Wow, that's crazy. What kind of stuff are you guys talking about? Made by fans in the Godzilla vs. Kong intro? What photos in the Godzilla vs. Kong intro? That was like 99% reused footage from their own movies. There might be more, but that's the only one I know. Mail them the coleslaw. And promotional materials. Adam, I'd love to see this stuff. I just feel they should change Godzilla X Kong back to a Kong movie. Well, at this point, the damage is done. I think you should ask them to credit you or take it down since they refuse unless they don't mind not getting credited. It's really up to you. D-Man, I would like to see a rematch between blah, blah, blah. Godzilla X Kong, blah, blah, blah. No, the art in the second art. No, the art in the 2D art. What are you talking about? Not the model. What are you talking about, man? Tag new in it. Takashi Yamazaki is a saint, and he did credit. I just mean he still used your picture for a reaction video compilation. Oh. Yamazaki using my image in a reaction compilation? He's not the one who made that post. A fan made that post and he retweeted it, to be clear. Yamazaki has now responded twice to me, and the director of Godzilla Minus One has now responded twice to me in a very non-direct, a very indirect manner in terms of my trailer reaction for Godzilla Minus One, where he's reacted twice to posts about my trailer reaction or with my trailer reaction that were about more than just me. But he never stole my images. He never posted a picture of me without credit. That never happened. So I want to clear that up. He never did that. All of you guys are saying with Skullcrawler and Godzilla vs. Kong. Childish. Thank you for the share. Holy shit, I was watching the opening of Godzilla vs. Kong, and they just picked DeviantArt user Ramul's fan art, and placed it into this map thingy. And it's clearly not just a similar position. You can see this same mole hand with different canon versions. Wow. Of course, I have no source for this information indicating they actually reached out to the artist first, and the artists were happy to consent. Nevertheless, it's wrong here, just in case it a perfect fit. Wow, wow, wow. That's disappointing. That is disappointing. And they actually made the art look worse. They actually made the art look worse. Let me save this because I feel like that's an important thing to bring up in a video at some point. A year from now. I saved that link so I could bring that up in a video at some point. That's really disappointing. Anyways, back to you guys. Thank you for sharing me with that. I heard this question and I'm curious about your answer. What if it turned out Godzilla Minus One was about Godzilla fighting another monster instead of it being about the bomb? My name's Jeff. Have you been tuning into my channel lately? I've seen the movie. I've seen the movie basically a month ago at this point. I already know the answer. I don't know how to feel about that question. I already know the answer. But that's actually really disappointing to find out. Anyways, about my situation. When I went to Anime Matsuri, I took a lot of photos and videos, a lot of which have not been shared with you guys yet. But somebody's going to tell them. What if Godzilla X Kong turned out to be about the bomb? I'd take it. Wait till D-Man gets the Gendo stance with his glasses. No, thank you. When I went to Anime Matsuri, I took a bunch of pictures. I shared a bunch on Twitter. I shared a bunch on Instagram. No, you're good, Jeff. You're good. You're fine. I do have reviews of the movie up if you want to go check out my reviews. I posted a first reactions and a non-spoiler review, so you can go check those out. And they're good videos. You should go check them out and like them and subscribe if you haven't already. I shared a bunch of my Anime Matsuri photos on Twitter and Instagram when the convention happened. And today I was going through October because I'm trying to catch up on Godzilla news and updates. So for Minus One, I've split October in half. Everything up until the 15th is going to be in one video. Then I need to find out how many other videos the rest of October breaks into. I think it'll be about 2. I'm going to do my best to catch up on Minus One news in the next couple days before the movie comes out in the United States. And when I was going through October, I saw a photo announcing that 2 Godzilla artists, one of which is Shinji Nishikawa, were going to be doing a live drawing and also signing at some mall in Japan. And when I was looking at the photo, I saw this photo of Nishikawa at Anime Matsuri, and I thought that was really cool. It was really cool of Toho to use a photo of Nishikawa at Anime Matsuri to promote it because obviously that's a United States convention. It felt kind of cool to get some sort of notoriety out there about the fact that that convention happened and that he was such a big deal at it. And he was the biggest deal at the convention. He was a huge deal. He single-handedly made the Godzilla store this year. Without him, the Godzilla store would have not had any value after the first day because all the stuff would have sold out. They didn't have screenings this year to get people enticed in like they did a couple of years ago. And they just did not have the merchandise to support the fan base. The fans bought everything within the first couple minutes of the convention. Within the first few hours, everything that you could have wanted to have purchased was already gone. Because they just didn't have that much in stock. They had higher end figures rather than lower end figures. So Shinji Nishikawa basically sold the Godzilla store and gave it this longevity that it wouldn't have had otherwise. It was wonderful. And I was looking at it, and I was like, that photo is very familiar. I really liked the shot composition. I really liked the photo. And I had a feeling that I had seen that photo before. So I started digging through my photos until I found the photo that I took. No wonder I liked it. I'm the one who took it. It was my photo that I had shared back when the convention happened in August. And they just took it and posted it on their account. And I was curious to hear what other people thought because I didn't really have an issue with it. And the reason I didn't have an issue with it is different than I think many people will think. I don't have a contract with Anime Matsuri. I have zero contract. I have zero legal obligation to the Anime Matsuri. I don't have to say nice things about them. I have a great time when I go, and I like to share that great time with you guys. And I've shared a bit of my experience with you guys, especially when it happened. I was trying to do my best to promote the convention just because it was out of respect, and also because it was out of respect to Mr. Nishikawa, who I got to work with very closely and who I've become friends with. And so I wanted to do my best to help show my love for the convention. But I have no obligation with them. I don't get paid to go. They paid to bring me out, but I do not get paid to go. I make no profit off of going. I lose money every time I go, a significant amount, on food, on merchandise, on whatever. I'm kind of expected to buy stuff from the store, so I buy stuff. And I'm fine with all of that because I'm really, really grateful to go. But the point is, there's no contract that stipulates that anybody but myself owns my footage. I own my footage. I own my photos. It's mine. And so that's why I think a lot of people would be upset about the fact that my photo was used when I didn't get credit for it. Because they took my photo without crediting me for it. And I think that they've used more than one. But I didn't have an issue with it because it was such a public event where anybody could have taken that photo and it didn't need to be me. Anybody could have taken the photos of Nishikawa doing his art because it was in front of an audience of over 100 people. Like, over 100 people had the same exact opportunity to take that photo I did. I'm just the one who took it. And so I didn't really have an issue with it, but I was curious because I have a lot of photographer friends, I have a lot of artist friends, and I know that people get really upset when their art or their photos are used without their permission. And I wonder if the reason I wasn't upset was because I feel kind of honored to have my photo used like that, or because I feel a little guilty already after I found out that I've upset some people with my last Monarch review, or why. I don't entirely know, but I was not upset personally. So I was curious to hear what you guys had to say, if you guys would have been upset if they took your photo and didn't credit you. I don't have an issue with it, and I don't think Toho was in the wrong to do it because it was a public event. Anybody could go to it. Anybody could take that photo. And so I didn't have an issue with it. But I was curious because I was wondering if I'm just being a pushover or not. And I don't think I am. I think I have valid reasoning for not thinking it's crazy. I don't know. I'm a chronic Twitter user So I'm telling you, you're wrong for not being upset. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's kind of why I said that. That's kind of what I said. Why I said, but I can see why you don't feel bothered. I imagine Toho would say your credit. I would imagine Toho would say your credit. What? I don't understand that. I did tweet about it. If you go check my Twitter, I did tweet about how I thought it was interesting, but I wasn't trying to call anybody out. I just think it's kind of neat that I was looking at the photo and I thought that'd be funny if that was mine because I like that photo a lot, and then it turned out to be mine. People were upset about your Monarch review. Geesh, you're supposed to lie or something. It actually had nothing to do with my opinion. It had everything to do with the way I conducted myself. I was making a joke in my Monarch video that I also believe is the truth. But I wasn't saying it in a true manner, because if I truly felt that strongly about it, I would try and take things into my own hands. I don't want to get too much into it just because I don't want to make a big deal of it. But if I truly felt that strongly about it, I would try to take things into my own hands. And I didn't, because I like to consume, and I like to be a viewer, and I like to enjoy this stuff that is being put out. So I said something in my Monarch video. I said something in the last live stream we did together. I said the exact same thing in both. And while I do believe it's ultimately true and that it ultimately would have a benefit, not to me, but to the MonsterVerse and to the fans, I actually don't feel that strongly about it. But I understand that it could come across the wrong way. And so I do feel a little bad about that part. I do feel bad that it could come across the wrong way. And I don't want to feel ungrateful. And I don't want to come across as ungrateful, because I feel very privileged to be able to have worked with so many people that I've worked with. I feel privileged to have the community that to have all of you guys. And I feel privileged to be able to work with Apple TV Plus, to get screeners for Monarch, to be able to watch the show early, all that stuff. So I just want to make that clear. I am very much appreciative. I appreciate the work that every single member does for Monarch Legacy of Monsters, even if I have my issues with it. Same for Godzilla X Kong, even if I have my issues with it. But yeah, I'm going to try and be... I'll try and tone it back on those kinds of jokes, because I understand that they could come across wrong. I understand that they could come across as very entitled. And I don't want to come across as very entitled, because when I'm saying it, I don't mean it for reals. Otherwise, like I said, I would have tried to do something about it by now. So I'm gonna do my best to be on better behavior that way. That being said, gonna still criticize the show. Gonna still criticize the movie, because there's a lot of stuff that I think needs to be critiqued. I meant they would probably give you a shout out, but I think they don't necessarily care either way. Adam, I don't think they care at all about who took the photo. I don't think they care that I'm the one who took the photo. Some people at Toho, I think, would care. I do have friends within that space, but I don't have any friends at Toho Studios. And I think Toho Studios is the one who used my photo. I don't have any friends at Toho Studios who would care. But actually, I'm kind of curious to hear what some of my other photographer friends who have worked for Toho would say, because I have other friends, and I'm sure they would have other opinions than me. Have you heard people hating on the final SHMA Godzilla Minus One drama, I guess? Yeah, I have, and I think the critiques are valid. When you ask me, I've seen people ask me, even in this stream, what I think about... What I think about like the people call it the downfall of SH Monster Arts. Literally since 2016, when I got my very first SH Monster Arts figure, people have been telling me I'm in the downfall of SHMA. Like, oh, I'm so sorry you got in when SHMA sucks. You got the Shin Godzilla. It's the worst one they've ever done. It looks nothing like the prototype. I'm so sorry you got in on SH when they sucked. And then I went backwards and I got, if you can see behind me, some of their older figures, and I thought, these are the same exact quality as the other ones. They are no different. That Godzilla Lights, Sound, and Music, Godzilla vs. Biollante, Godzilla 1989, still probably my favorite SHMA figure, even though it has a quality control issue where on my cheek, my Godzilla's cheek, he's got a chip in the face. That's a quality control issue that doesn't need to be there. Is it sloppy on their end? Absolutely, especially given the price point. But I don't know. I feel like the quality of the figure overall is pretty solid. And I've got the -1 on pre-order. I've seen some people get it in hand, and it does not look nearly as good as the prototype. It literally never will. They will always, always, always have the prototype looking better. I've never, ever seen that not be the case. It's just a matter of if you know SH to know it well enough to still order that stuff. I know it well enough to go, I know the risk I'm taking, and I'm going to take the risk. And that doesn't mean I'm going to love the figure automatically. I don't know. Maybe I'll see the figure and maybe I'll get it in hand and go, this sucks. This is bad. But I'll probably be fine with it because overall it's got better quality than anything else I own. And I knew the risk when I bought it. And I think that you can speak with your wallet. Just don't order the figure. Don't order it. Wait for the reviews first. Don't order it right away just because scalpers are going to raise the price. Wait to see if it's even a quality figure in the first place. I guess that's how I feel. I'm really behind on the chat now. Legally, you don't actually own footage from a private convention. Romero, yeah, I do. First of all, it's not a private convention. I mean, you have to pay to get in, sure. But I have no contract stating that anybody but myself owns that footage. It is my footage to do whatever I please with. I've gotten verbal consent. I've gotten emails consenting that it's my footage to do whatever I so choose with. So legally, it's my footage to do whatever I so choose to do with it. Yeah. This could be solved by giving you a partnership deal. Saturn Dusk, I would be honored. I'd be honored to be partnered with the MonsterVerse. I'd love that. I would love that. Adam, that very well could be, and I will try to continue to honor that. I'll try to continue to honor that as best as I can. Ethan, I know that's a popular meme quote, and I've just never felt that way. Like, again, going back to like Godzilla showing up in episode 3 of Legacy of Monsters, it did nothing for me. It did nothing for me. Consuming and then getting excited for the next product, that doesn't do anything for me. If the product makes me happy, then it makes me happy. You should criticize it even if you like it, and I always will. I just don't think like the figures are worth the price anymore, especially for their prices. That's just me. It's been literally since 2019 since I've gotten a Monster Arts figure. So I don't know. When I get the thing in hand, I might agree with you that it's not worth the price. I actually can't remember how much I spent on it. I did spend on the higher end, like literally the highest end of the pre-orders. I accidentally thought I was getting it. I thought I was going to get it from one of the lower end pre-order sites. And what I wound up getting was actually more expensive than Amazon itself. So I think if I had to guess, I probably spent about $110 on the Minus One. And depending on the price, I might agree that it was not worth it. The price for SHMA Minus One is absurd. I pre-ordered it day one. Maybe you can remind me, because I'm remembering that the price was like $90, which for a Monster Arts figure I don't think was bad. And I got mine for like 110, I think, because I got mine through a other service that I thought would be the cheaper service and then wasn't. Where would you rank Minus One amongst all of the Godzilla films? I gotta see it with subtitles first, but at the moment, I liked it more than Shin Godzilla. And I don't know where I'd rank Shin Godzilla. I've literally never in my life put together a ranked list of Godzilla films. I know people ask me all the time, where would I rank Godzilla films? And I never have an answer. It's up there. I liked Minus One a lot. It did everything I wanted a Godzilla movie to do very well. I have a feeling when I watch it with my dad, I'm going to like it even more than I like it now. And I think when I watch it with my little brother, I'm going to wind up liking it even more. Because sometimes the people that I watch the movie with influences the way that I feel about it. When I saw Minus One in Japan, I was seeing it with a non-Godzilla fan. She loved it. I had a good time with it. That helped. My dad, who's a lifelong Godzilla fan, that's going to make even more of a difference. The Haya King Ghidorah looks so good, the fact it dropped the same week as the SHMA makes it look worse. I guess I just never think of Haya on the same regard as SH. I've never had a Haya, so I couldn't tell you. But I always think of them as more of a NECA equivalent, and I think the fact that they even attempted a King Ghidorah in the first place outshines NECA's ambition in the first place. You still have your theater exclusive minus Goji anyways. I'll always have that one. Unless it gets destroyed in a fire when I'm trying to restart the heat in my basement, which is out again. And I can feel it because this house is cold as anything. Could you do a video tour of your Godzilla figures or recommendations on where to buy some? Target? Amazon? Target? Toys R Us? Amazon? I don't think I'll ever do a room tour. At least not right now. But if enough people ask for it, I'll do it. I'll sell out that way. I hope Kong doesn't get saved by the humans in Godzilla X Kong. I agree. SH minus was like, SH minus is like $130. Oh, maybe I'm totally misremembering the price. Minus One is $140 for America. The US pricing is $150. I can't remember the Japanese pricing. Maybe I spent a lot more on that thing than I remember. I remember making sure that I had enough money in my bank account and then going, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to not think about the price ever again because it's going to bum me out. That's how I remember that playing out. And I've chosen to forget what I spent on it. So I don't know. You guys could be right. It might have been it was $150. Those photos I've seen are not worth $150. They're more like worth $90 at max. I do remember the shipping wasn't that bad though. How do you rank the MonsterVerse with Monarch and Skull Island? The Skull Island anime? Easy ranking. MonsterVerse? Easy rankings for me. Sort of. Because it kind of depends on the day. But Kong Skull Island, then kind of take it or leave it. Godzilla vs. Kong or King of the Monsters, depending on the day. Generally speaking, this is my MonsterVerse list, though. Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Probably I'd sandwich. No, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it open for now. I'm not gonna rank Monarch until I've seen the show. Not gonna rank Monarch until I've seen the show. Godzilla vs. Kong, King of the Monsters. Godzilla vs. Kong. Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters. Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla 2014. And then somewhere down there is Skull Island. Like way down there. Far down there. Where's 154 when you need him for figure talk? I've noticed 154 hasn't been as active lately. I wonder if he's okay. I'm going to message him and see if he's doing all right. But I haven't seen him in the chats as much. He hasn't tuned in the last couple live streams. I miss the guy. I miss Godzilla 154 a lot. I hope he I know he binges my videos now. I know he waits. He doesn't watch daily uploads anymore. He waits a while and then he binges uploads. But I hope he's doing well. And last I talked to him, he seemed to be doing all right. I know he's just busy with work. So hopefully he, because I'm sure he would have big opinions on this stuff. I know he was never the biggest SH fan. Hopefully we get to see him around one of these streams sooner or later. Japan pricing is around 100 for the SH. Around 100 for the SH is absolutely a worthy price. Saturn Dusk with an S tier idea. Maybe I'll do a room tour for the Patreon. That's a good idea, actually. Well, you know what sucks about this room? I've mentioned this in videos. You've never seen it before. These walls right here, there's two walls right here. And I had them looking really nice. This was my Godzilla 1954 wall. This was my classic Godzilla wall. For those of you who don't know, you wouldn't. You've never seen the room put together like this. This is my King Kong area on this side of the room. Over here is more of like the higher value collectors stuff. This is all the figures. The 54 wall and the classic Godzilla wall both got annihilated by lightning. Lightning struck and it like decimated the walls. Frames fell and shattered, and I've never gotten them put back together because frames are so goddamn expensive that I've never put them back together. But literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items fell off those walls. Due to 2 lightning storms that happened pretty back to back. Actually, one of those lightning storms happened before I recorded one of my Monarch videos. If you've seen one of my recent Monarch videos, I was talking about how lightning bolt struck so hard that it caused my computer to cause this like crazy noise that I've never heard before. It went like, which is probably a good thing that I've got surge protected strips, because who knows what would have happened otherwise. I wish Godzilla stuff was easily available here. It's incredibly rare and expensive. Most are bootleg figures. That is the thing that shocked me the most going to Japan. You could buy like a Bandai Godzilla, like singular point stuff, for instance. Like, let's say I wanted to walk out with, there was a lot of Godzilla Aquatilis. Lots of Godzilla Aquatilis in Japan. Let's say I wanted to walk out with him. It was like $5. It was like $5 for the Bandai, as it should be. It's soft vinyl plastic. In the United States, the Playmates equivalent of that would cost you $20. To get the Bandai one, you'd be spending $30. It's not worth it. The Minus One Bandai Godzilla Minus One I bought was like $7 US. It was so cheap. Ultimate was 100 and Minus One was much was much smaller and more expensive. Looks worse, etc. Very disappointing. That's a good point. The Ultima, I remember thinking, was surprisingly cheap given the size, and that I think a lot of people liked it. D-Man, can you stand still, please? I'm trying to take a screenshot so I can play tic-tac-toe on my forehead. You got it? I gave you plenty of time. Pause it. It's impossible after being frozen. What are you talking about, Frozen Godzilla? I'm an old Japanese Godzilla fan. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone's reactions to Godzilla Minus One in the world. I think it's a masterpiece. Everyone, please look forward to it. Thank you very much for... I really appreciate you, MG.2023. I really appreciate when you pop in the chat. I always love interacting with you on Twitter. And I love hearing your perspective on things. I want you to know that I really appreciate when you... come in these streams. I really appreciate it, and I really like seeing you here, and thank you for tuning in from Japan. I have a lot of viewers from Japan lately. I'm losing some of them because I'm no longer keeping up with my subtitles, and I'm going to try and do better to get my subtitles back on track. I'll work hard for that over the next couple weeks to get my subtitles back on track, but I really appreciate that, MGDA. And I always appreciate when you're in here. I really like it. You've never been able to finish King of the Monsters? It bores you to death? Romo, what movie did you watch, man? King of the Monsters bores you? That is crazy. Skull Island's at the bottom for you as well. Yeah. The crew t-shirt, we see Godzilla and Kong breaking out of the ice. Hassan, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't think that's true. Do you disagree, Childish? Are you not a big fan of the Haya King Ghidorah? I think it's very impressive that they made that. I guess I don't have too big of an opinion on it because I've never really seen a lot of the photos of it. I know that lots of people have done deep digging on the thing, and I haven't. I've seen some photos here and there when they pop up in my feed, but obviously I'm so far behind on news and stuff that it's just not on my radar at the moment. It'll be on my radar in a year and a half. But I'm pretty impressed with the fact that they made that. What's your dream MonsterVerse project, but it's just MonsterVerse? What is your dream MonsterVerse project, but it's just MonsterVerse? That's kind of a crazy way to word that question. I would love to see a Godzilla 3 in which Godzilla takes on Biollante. Or Destroya, but mostly Biollante. Yes, in Japan, the prices were shockingly cheap for Bandai figures. And it made so much sense, given that they're soft vinyl plastic meant for children. Like, why is everything in America so goddamn expensive? I could have walked out of there with so many Bandai Minus Ones and sold those guys on Amazon for so much. I could be making bank off of you guys right now, you fools. But I didn't know how much my money was worth, so I didn't spend any of it. I thought I was over budget until the very last day, and the very last day I had literally like 3 hours to try and buy stuff. The last day I was like, why do I still have so much of this money? I need to get rid of this stuff because I wasn't planning on coming home with any of it. And then I came home with basically all of it. I love Japan. Yeah, I want to go back so bad. So bad, so bad. Recently bought the Final Wars SH figure, and what a waste. Oh no, 114 for a small toy with no accessories and breaks super easily. Oh, that's a shame. That one looked really good, I thought. That's a shame. Completely off topic, can we say what that secret project we've discussed lately might debut? Oh, Saturn Dusk. Which one? One of them I'm planning to release on Christmas or around Christmas. Let me say around Christmas, because I don't plan on releasing it on Christmas. But I plan on releasing one of those around Christmas. The other one, as you know, I'm waiting for the new thing to come out. And when the new thing comes out, then the other ones will come out alongside the new thing. I hope that helps a little bit. Gamma Rebirth is less than $5, and it's a great thick figure with tons of accessories. Gamma Rebirth is $5 less. Sorry, that was my dyslexia. Gamma Rebirth is $5 less. It's a great thick figure with tons of accessories. I have not seen any photos of the Gamma Rebirth in hand, but I know I want it badly. Even though I didn't watch the show yet. I've just been too busy. Too busy. Do you think Joji, formerly known as Pink Eye, should play as Shin Hayata Ultraman? I would love that casting. That is the most unhinged comment I have ever seen. That's crazy. I actually worked backstage for Joji very recently. I was like right behind him at some points. I did not interact with him for a second. I'm sorry, man. Go to bed. If it's 2 a.m, go to bed. I'm about to go to bed. Demon, will you be adding English subtitles anytime soon? Yeah, I mean, I hope to be. For my -1 content, not for my MonsterVerse content. But for my -1 stuff, I hope to be adding subtitles soon. Most of my viewers are from Japan and are in 55 through 64. Most of my viewers are Japanese. I've got about 60. I've been between 60 and 70% Japanese viewers lately. And I'm gonna try and get more subtitles out for those people. Tubby has got the most unhinged comments I've seen on a live stream in a long time. Ever since Tony used to tune in. I too regret not being able to get the SH 2014. Do you think there will be material from King of the Monsters reference in Godzilla or in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, since King of the Monsters underperformed when it came to Legendary, wants to distance themselves from it? I personally wouldn't get your hopes up too much to see King of the Monsters content referenced, but I also don't think it will be ignored. Valentini franchise and inflation. I miss the old days when we would get metal Mechagodzilla figures. What was the Mechagodzilla 2021 made out of? I never got that one. I guess I assumed it was made out of metal like the old ones. Agno Goji, yeah, I do have a plan on when to release that one too. Very impressed with the Ghidorah. Just got the processing order from Burning G from PPG. Breath. Yeah. How are the shipping for the Haya figures? Does it take a long time for those Hayas to ship? I've never actually known if those Hayas ship, how they ship. Is it a really long turnaround for those things? I have a feeling it would be. I don't think that they should kill Madison or Mark. I don't think so. I think, did I hear Dangerville made a video about Biolante recently? I think I heard that Dangerville made a video about Biolante recently, which is, from what I've heard, not a groundbreaking take they had on Biolante, considering it's all stuff I've talked about on this channel for years, but I've heard for a minute now that or I've heard for like on Twitter today, I saw people talking about like Biollante is such a tragic character. Yeah, man, we've been having that discussion since 1989, but on this channel at least since like 2017. King of the Monsters potentially sets up, destroys. King of the Monsters potentially set up destroy all monsters, Thanos as well as Biollante, Alan Jonah, but we're stuck with Wingard who wants to forget King of the Monsters exists. I don't think it's that Wingard wants to forget King of the Monsters exists. I think Wingard just likes to follow up on Wingard's ideas. I don't think he's necessarily interested in following up on other people's ideas. He wants to create ideas of his own. So we have to wait for a different filmmaker to step back into the ring who wants to make a sequel rather than a new entry. And hopefully we get a new entry, a new filmmaker in the MonsterVerse rather soon. Even though I really like Wingard, and I'm very excited to see what he does with New Empire, I would like to see those older ideas expanded upon instead. Next piano cover when? The next piano cover will go out on November 3rd. Sorry. That already happened. The next piano cover will go out on December 1st, is what I meant to say. Oh, it's plastic? That's a shame. I don't know how to read all of these words, my friend. I see you said Nihon no. My Japanese is not as good as it once was. I'm going to think that says Tachi wa doko ni ru no ka. Let's see what you said. Based on how unhinged your comments have been so far, Watashi ni Nihon no kyorai. Oh, kyo. I got that wrong. No kyorai. Oh, no, I didn't. Kyorai, I didn't get that part because you wrote it in kanji. Kyorai tachi. Watashi ni Nihon jin no kyorai tachi wa doko ni iru no ka. Let me try and get that in one go. 私に日本人の兄弟たちはどこにいるのか Need some work. Where are my Japanese brothers at? Wait, there's an SHMA 2021 Mechagodzilla. How did I miss this? Where can I buy it? Hold up. It been out since 2021. Here's an interesting idea. What are the American studio co-producer Varan hasn't gone under? Do you think Varan would have become a popular kaiju in the U.S.? No, I don't think so. If you order from BBTS, it takes like 2 months. Big Bad Toy Store, it takes like 2 months to get them in general, but you can take orders straight from Chinese retailers and get them as soon as they release. I think BBTS is where I ordered my Minus One from, and then I found out it was actually the most expensive option I had, which I just shouldn't have ordered it from them. I mean, and I still don't have mine, and other people have theirs, obviously. I mean, all the Toho monsters are tragic monsters, at least most of them. Yeah, exactly. Only some parts of the SHM Mechagodzilla is die-cast, but the majority is just plastic, which is disappointing because I thought the figure was entirely die-cast. That would disappoint me as well. If I got that thing, I would also be disappointed, especially because like if the Mogira can be die-cast, then so could the Mechagodzilla. I do think that there is genuine lack of quality with SH, but I think there's genuine lack of quality with pretty much every company on Earth at the moment. I think Profit has ruined a lot of the stuff we used to get. And I think a great example of that is Playmates and what they did in 2005 and what they're doing now. Hassan, I'm not here to discuss leaks for Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. And if you post more leaks in the chat, I'm going to block you, man. Like, I know that information. You shouldn't. I know this would never happen, but if Toho by some reason decided to make a crossover movie with Godzilla and Gamera, what would you want from it? I would want Sasuke Kineko to direct Kineko Sasuke. How about? I'm going to try and flip the names from now on because I understand that last name always should come first. But I would want Kaneko Sasuke to direct. I like his directing. I think he did a good job with the Gamera trilogy. He made Gamera work when Gamera really never did before. And I would love to see his take, especially because I was pretty into his take on Godzilla. I have no idea who Tubby's antagonizing, but someone says for Tubby to not antagonize someone. Wana te no something needle. I don't know how to read that. 私はあなたの壁の中にいる。こんにちは。元気ですか? They should cast blah 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 blah. They should cast Ralph Macchio play as Ultra 7 as a completely new take on the character named Dan Moroboshi instead of Dan Moroboshi. Dan Moronin instead of Dan Moroboshi. I have no idea where that comment comes from, Mark. What are you talking about? Get the SHMA Mechagodzilla while those Black Friday deals are active. That's a really smart idea. But if I was going to get any SH figure, I'd be getting myself Gamera Rebirth. People are saying hello to Mario. Hello, Mario. What was the dragon creature in Monarch Legacy of Monsters? That's called the Ion Dragon. It's a new creature for the MonsterVerse. Hey D-Man, will you be able to order the SHMA? Hey D-Man, were you able to were you able to order the SH Monster Arts Minus One Goji for my runner? Unfortunately, too late to order. Other sites selling them out of stock. Yeah, I was able to get one because I bought it literally the day it went up. How would you feel if they cast actors like John Cena, Dwayne Johnson, Mark Wahlberg, Chris Pratt to be in Godzilla movies? I think seeing Chris Pratt in a Godzilla movie would be a little odd. I personally don't think that they should cast people of that caliber because I think it would distract from the film. I think it would be overall a distracting experience rather than a positive experience. Might do well for the box office in China, though. I'm going to see Minus One on the second with my dad and my cousin. I've been trying to avoid spoilers like the plague. I might see a second time with my buddies. Good for you, man. I hope you have a great time. I hope you really enjoy your watch. I had a great time watching it. Ethan, I cannot deny that people die if they are killed. Have you rewatched Shin Kamen Rider on Prime? Actually, Saturn Dusk, ever since the whole debacle with the subtitles for Shin Ultraman, I didn't take a look at either of those movies again. Shin Ultraman had the big subtitle debacle. I bought the badly subtitled version of the movie because I had ordered it right away. And then when you guys informed me that it was, I think actually you, Saturn Dusk, are the one who informed me that the subtitles were so awful. I chose to stick it out because I was curious. I wanted to. I was originally going to make a video about how bad the Blu-ray was, and then I was unmotivated because I had Minus One to worry about, and Minus One took priority for me over all other types of videos because it was so pressing. And Shin Kamen Rider, I tried to download on Prime. I tried to download that one on Prime when I went to LA. I tried to download that one on Prime when I went to Tokyo. And both times it didn't download, so I didn't get to watch it on my trip. So I missed it both times. Are you looking forward to the boy and the hero, the heroine? Yes. Sure. Have you asked for the replacement disc? Is that a thing I could do? I didn't know I could do that. I'm gonna log off here. Nearly 25 minutes past midnight. All right, man, no problem. I'm gonna log off here pretty much right now as well. Titan waste disposal leak. Yes. I didn't know that I could ask for a replacement disc. But does that mean I have to send the old one back, or does that just mean they send me a new Blu-ray? Because I don't want to send the old one back. I'm interested in how bad it is. Yeah, DM me the link. I'd love to take a look at it. No one told me how much college sucks. Predzilla 2000, man, you must not have been watching my videos for the past 4 years. I tried to warn each and every one of you how bad it was. It is an awful experience. The worst experience I've ever had in my life was going to college. Yes, the Discord's exclusive to the Patreon. Currently, the Twitter is very interesting results. I have a feeling if this tweet continues through the morning, then the morning people are going to change the result. I think the morning people are going to change the result by a lot, because morning Godzilla fans are seemingly more negative than nighttime Godzilla fans. That's certainly been my experience on these live streams anyways. Because currently the Twitter results are that 2.2% say the MonsterVerse is an oversaturated failure. 6% say subpar entries are killing it. 37% say it depends on the entry, and 54%, which is really solid number, says it's as good as ever. In my opinion, I think that it depends on the entry. That would be what I would give the advantage to. I think that one's the one that should win. You're walking your dogs at 2 a.m. You are out of your mind. And you're still chatting. You're still on the chat. That is crazy, man. Oh, Figure Mania show. What's up, man? It is so nice to see you guys. If you haven't checked out Figure Mania show, please check him out. He does incredible work. One of the nicest guys I've ever had the honor of interacting with in this community. Please check him out. Please show him some love. I'm so glad to see you here, man. I love your work. Always a pleasure to see what you cook up. I love that guy. I feel like the most iconic era for this channel was the era where behind me was his posters. You're impressive, Saturn Dusk. I'm not going outside at 42 degrees in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. This is a comment. I'm not going to say who the user is, but I got a comment here that says the MonsterVerse is the best cinematic universe out right now. It keeps consistent quality, doesn't slam releases together, and are easy to watch movies. I disagree. I feel like the MonsterVerse is as a cinematic universe a very poor attempt at a cinematic universe at the moment because the continuity is so all over the place. But if on the other side of things, I feel like the MonsterVerse has more solid solo entries than I feel like most cinematic universes don't have very solid solo entries. I feel like the MonsterVerse has solid solo entries, but in terms of it being a cinematic universe, that's where things get a little yucky. Figure Mania Show, I'd invite you, man, but I'm logging off here. It's late and I want to go to bed and I've got work to do tomorrow, so I am gonna exit here. But please, guys, go show him some love. Always a big fan of his work, and he's just such a nice guy. But I am gonna end it all here. I was interested to see the Twitter poll, not yielding the results I was guessing at the moment, but I'm gonna see if that changes over time. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna end it here, guys. I'll let you guys throw your final messages in the chat for a second. I'm gonna take a drink, and then I'll log it off because it's we've been going for a long time. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, Oscar. I appreciate you jumping in. Sleep well, everybody. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one, which should hopefully be pretty soon. I like to keep doing these, especially with Monarch dropping week to week. Minus One's coming out, so I'll be back sooner rather than later. Yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man out.